We are live.
Good morning. Today is June 10th, 2021. It is 9:33 a.m. I now call to order the meeting of the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agency and the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency joint meeting of the boards of directors. We will begin with an invocation led by Director Heft, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Director Bartlett.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. If you'll all bow your heads with me, or however you observe your own faith. Lord, we just come before you today and we ask you for guidance as leaders of our various communities. We ask you for wisdom, so many decisions to make. And we just pray that you give us guidance in making those decisions in the best way possible. We pray for our drivers on the roads. We pray that they are protected, Lord, and that they arrive to their destination safely. We pray for our staff members, and we ask you to give them guidance and wisdom as well. Thank you. Amen.
Amen. Good morning, everyone. Please join me in honoring the flag of our nation, which represents the greatest symbol of freedom. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Good morning, Madam Chair and honorable directors. Kaylee Doolittle, interim clerk of the board. I will now proceed with the roll call. Chair Wong. Present. Vice Chair Miller.
Here.
Director Beal.
Here.
Director Chafee.
Present.
Director Lombard.
Here.
Director Murphy.
Here.
Director Trevor O'Neill.
Here.
Director Voids.
Here.
Director Ward.
Present.
Vice Chair Will O'Neill.
Here.
Director Connors.
Here.
Director Heft.
Here.
Director Hurt.
Here. Sorry. Here.
Director James. Director Minigar.
Present.
Director Reynolds.
Here.
Director Vic Sorick.
Here.
Chair Kelly.
Here.
Director Bartlett.
Here.
Director Khan.
Here.
Director Penaloza.
Present.
Director Taylor.
Here.
Director Wagner.
Here.
Director Chamberlain.
Here.
Looping back, Director James.
Madam Chair, this is Director Ward. I'm going to represent San Joaquin today.
Alternate Ward.
Present.
Madam Chair, we have quorum on both boards.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We now come to the public comments portion of the agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments this morning?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. At this time, I would like to remind everyone during live public broadcasting, members of the public may address the joint boards of directors regarding any items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the joint boards of directors, but no action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person and 20 minutes for all comments unless the chair, subject to the approval of the boards of directors, set different time limits. Madam Chair, we have received a total of 6 public comments.
Thank you.
I will begin with public comment number 1 from Jay Doe. Beginning now. To the TCA boards of directors and everyone who is listening, I started following the TCA and the toll roads. Years ago, due to an issue that has been resolved. Everyone listening, take whatever Michelle Schumacher and the cronies in her cesspool say about TCA with a grain of salt. They are being advised by Harvey Englander's PR firm. Look him up and you'll learn about how he uses PR to take down big brands and organizations. The city of San Clemente just renewed another contract with him for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Look it up. His #1 job is to take down the TCA. Michelle Schumacher is his puppet. Will the TCA Board of Directors ever fact check public comments? Nearly everything Michelle Schumacher and her cronies say and write is PR spin or flat out lies. She always points out how TCA spends on PR, that she and San Clemente are the only ones with a PR firm now, and they are paying a pretty penny. On Facebook, Michelle Schumacher posts old news stories, old videos, old receipts, old everything. She purposefully misleads people to believe her old lies are new truths. She also purposefully spreads lies and passes them off as facts. And the San Clemente rep on the TCA board just let it happen. Kathy Ward and Jean James fan the flame, and Harvey Englander and Michelle Schumacher dance around it. Into public comment. Public comment number 2 received from Marie DC. I will begin now. I ask for your support in reducing a significant tax on all residents that oftentimes go unnoticed. Are you aware that the Transportation Corridor Agency, TCA, has taxed OC homeowners to the tune of $754 million since it was established in 1987? This tax comes in the form of development fees that are assessed on new residential and commercial properties built on remodeled in OC. Formed in 1987 with the explicit purpose of constructing the toll roads. At the time the TCA was established, bonds were issued to pay for construction of the toll roads. The purpose made by the TCA at the time was that the debt taken on by the TCA for construction of these new toll roads would be paid off through a combination of development fees and tolls collected. 100% of the debt was to be paid off, and the toll roads were supposed to become freeways after 30 years. The TCA has horribly mismanaged and squandered these silent taxes paid by your constituents. Not only are the toll roads not freeways, but the TCA still owes over $4.7 billion for construction. This is a dereliction of duty and a travesty for OC taxpayers. By the time the bonds are repaid, it will cost $11 billion. The debt is going in the wrong direction. The TCA's new vision plan, mission creep, that you are being asked to approve funds in the budget for must not be passed. It is time to the TCA solely focus on paying down the bonds instead of driving up housing and the cost of business with these empty toll roads. Please make them pay down the bonds and get traffic moving. OCTA and Caltrans can do what is needed. There is no need for this redundant, wasteful agency. Taxpayers deserve better. The TCA spends hundreds of millions of dollars regularly on contracts outside of our state. If they want Orange County taxpayers to be able to afford the ever-increasing tolls, they need to be more mindful and keep the money in California. Stop the hemorrhage to taxpayers with these economically discriminating toll roads. We all know that the traffic in OC would be much better and flowing if the TCA made the roads free, as was promised in a public comment. Public comment number 3 received from Michelle Schumacher. I will begin now. Good morning, board members. I was astounded to hear some of the comments last month about San Clemente leaving the TCA's JPA. It was 100% clear that the chairs of the TCA have never read the JPA agreement. Many directors had zero clue about the agreement between the cities and the county. It is mind-boggling that with your fiduciary duty and duty to represent taxpayers, that you are not intimately familiar with the JPA agreement. To clear the record, it does not matter about Wall Street when a city leaves the TCA. What matters is the taxpayers in Orange County. What matters is this agency is failing to do the one thing they were charged to do, and you all allowing it to happen. In case you have not read the JPA agreement, cities can leave the agreement as they wish with consent. In fact, if enough cities left, then the TCA would finally be forced to begin to pay down the bonds. The TCA has over $1 billion in cash between the two agencies. That both boards have allowed so much cash to pile up. Another example of the poor leadership and the failure of this agency. Pay down the bonds, help the TCA help itself. If we were not sitting on so much cash, amazed by constant refinancing and paying the least amount possible on the debt, then you would not be carrying such ridiculous amounts on your books. The TCA was to build the toll system, pay down the bonds, and go away. The toll roads would revert to Caltrans and be free to drive on. Please do not approve a vision planning meeting with a paid moderator that is being proposed in the budget. This is going to get you all in trouble, as it is clear the TCA is attempting more mission creep. Approving this in the budget approves further TCA troubles. We will not sit back and allow more misbehavior. $40,000 per agency is just wasted money. The TCA does not need a vision plan after 30 years of collecting development fees and using them for lobbying instead of paying down the bonds. The TCA JPA agreement is clear and is the agency's only vision. This board is in charge, not the TCA consultants and employees. We need some bold leadership, and we need the toll roads paid off to get the traffic in OC actually moving. People avoiding the toll roads, there are cost prohibitive. The toll roads drive traffic onto surface streets and ensure our freeways are clogged. Stop the waste and misdirection. We are counting on you all to get our state moving in a better direction. Attached is the JPA agreement. Into public comment. Public comment number 4 received from Eyes for Good, and I will be reading now. Mayor of San Clemente, Kathleen Ward, a registered Republican, said the following at a May 2021 TCA Board of Directors meeting. We joined this agency for specific reasons and promises made. Promises that we in turn made to our residents and all taxpayers of Orange County. San Clemente joined an agency with 11 other cities in the county to build 2 road corridors with locations of the roadways set by the state legislation. The pledge we made with the other cities is that we would oversee this agency and we would pay off the debt and make these roads free upon turning them over to the state and Caltrans. In my 6 years on this agency, I've seen no adherence to our agreement and no intention of paying these roads off. As long as the board continues to not pay off the debt, the taxpayers of Orange County will continue to have to pay tolls to use these roads that were intended to be part of the free state highway system. The agency wants to continue indefinitely and never end its mission. San Clemente did not join this agency to agree to perpetually charge tolls for a system that wasn't meant to be free and to perpetually incur more debt for our taxpayers for any new future project the TCA can envision for themselves. On the Foothill Eastern TCA, the 241 toll road, there's a board of 15 to 12 cities and 3 county supervisors. On the San Joaquin Hills TCA, the 73 toll road, there's a board of 14 to 12 cities and 2 county supervisors. San Clemente has only 1 vote. We alone cannot stop the agency from continuing to assert its mission, delaying paying off their bonds, and hold up an agency that was an experiment as the first ever public toll road at all costs under billions of dollars in debt. We can, however, use the 1 vote we do have to get out of this agency. Into public comment. Public comment number 5 received from No Toll Road 2020. I will begin reading now. I saw this on Facebook the other day, and you all should know that we know how the TCA collects penalties and fines for residents and visitors to OC. The TCA likes to tweet how caring they are during the pandemic, yet someone actually needs a helping hand in these troubling times, what do they do? You'd expect, based on Samuel Johnson always saying, they are doing all these things to share the good news of the TCA, like a cult or something. When you need to get out there and toot your own horn 24/7, you know something is not right. Given the TCA's tweets and Samuel's getting the good news out, we would have expected the TCA to show some compassion and understanding. But no, they go for the kill and charge an exuberant amount in fees for their poor couple. This poor couple. Shame on the TCA. Oh my gosh, you are not going to believe what happened to us with the toll roads. We've had a toll roads account for decades, auto paid, never missing a toll, most often thousands of years. During the pandemic, some credit cards froze them as a courtesy, so we temporarily didn't have to make payments. We were certain that our toll lane account was auto paid from a non-frozen card. So for a couple of months back from furlough, my hubby used to sparingly crazy long commute. Unfortunately, we unknowingly were mistaken. A lot has happened, including illness, and the account was attached to a courtesy frozen account, so tolls were not being auto paid. Long story short, $420 in tolls on the toll roads were not paid, but then billed over $12,000 during a pandemic. Absolute nightmare. We always pay our bills. This was horrid. We didn't mean to create this problem. Dollars grew tighter week by week since job was commission only, so then actually equaled $14 an hour. At a normally good income job, we couldn't afford to quit. Couldn't register our car until paid and it was due. How to make a deal to pay almost $3,000 for $420 in tolls. No recourse. First 30 times, then a deal of 7 times the cost of tolls, just a few months late. The pandemic ruined us financially before this. So frustrated that they had us like they did, not used to feeling humiliated. Asked them who oversaw them to try and make calls, and they begrudgingly mentioned a board. Found the people on the board online, but no contact into public comment. Last public comment, number 6, from Laura Smith. I will begin reading now. Good morning, board members and staff. I am commenting today about 7 recent PRAs I sent to the TCA. Well, I got a response back saying the TCA is in possession of records responsive to each of my 7 requests, and they will be made available to me by December 15th, 5 p.m. What the heck? This isn't even following government code. The TCA definitely isn't being transparent and makes me wonder, what are they hiding, especially with Senator Pat Bates' SB 760 bill passing 13-1 with the lone no vote being Senator Dave Min, and that's one of my PRAs. I asked for communication between the TCA lobbyists, and Senator Min. Also, suddenly, the day before this bill is heard again, it gets pulled and now is a 2-year bill. The TCA and its highly paid lobbyists with our tax dollars are going around influencing our government agencies, and the TCA now is trying to slow down our right to even know what's really going on. Board members, it's time to rein in this out of control agency. Do what you are elected to do and serve the hardworking people. End of public comment. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And I am going to ask Mr. Johnson if you care to respond to any of the comments.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I think there are a few things that we should correct for the record. First, in regards to public records request, it is very important to clarify that staff, in close coordination with General Counsel, works in full compliance with the law to respond to public records requests. We recognize this is an important obligation for a public agency, and our limited staff works diligently to provide responses as quickly as possible while ensuring our daily operations of the agency continue. While the number of requesters is not large, the number of requests that small group submits And the volume of the number of records they're requesting is a significant workload on the staff. So we're trying to manage that work, and hopefully we can achieve a higher response rate than what the schedule has laid out. But we're working hard to fulfill those. There was a comment about violations. So just as a reminder to the board that your policies and then also staff's procedures for dealing with toll violations are very, very customer leaning. We are always willing to consider situations of customers who are faithfully trying to resolve their unpaid tolls, but we also have to manage cost recovery. You have a first-time forgiveness program, which recognizes everyone makes mistakes. And then similar to parking violations, your penalty structure does not escalate past $100. So in the cited example, someone with $12,000 in penalties would have incurred at least 120 violations. With our processes, that could equate very easily to about 400 letters, dozens of phone calls, and other costs that are part of our operating. But even with those costs, customers who are timely in contacting us and agreeing to resolve their unpaid tolls can get their penalties mitigated or waived. Lastly, in terms of, there were a couple of comments that kind of spoke to our fiscal management. It is important that the public knows the facts of this agency's practices and how we adhere to sound fiscal management and how we are taking solid steps to reduce our debt. In the last few years alone, we've reduced our debt by over $600 million through some innovative bond restructuring. And as you'll hear in the budget presentation later this morning, the vast majority, I think it's approximately 80% or more, but Ms. Potter can clarify that for us. The vast majority of your budget goes towards debt service payments. That's true this year, that's been true in previous years, and that's going to be true for the foreseeable future. So this agency is on track with what some folks are implying, but unfortunately they have misinformation. Thank you, Madam Chair. Lastly, I think it's important, Madam Clerk, can we clarify, I believe Director James has joined, and maybe now he is representing San Clemente on San Joaquin Hills versus Mayor Ward acting as the alternate.
Yes, Director James. You may be on mute.
Is he still there?
Okay, let's go ahead and proceed, and perhaps he will show up during the roll call vote coming up. Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnson, for correcting the record. It is important that we clarify and correct if misinformation is provided. Now, directors,
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm here, sorry.
Okay, and so we do note the presence of Director James. Thank you. Now, directors, as with previous meetings, I'm going to ask both boards, directors from both boards, to raise your Zoom hand if you have any questions or comments regarding any of the items today. And as a reminder, if you're participating via teleconference, just press *9 to raise your hand. And if you have technical difficulty, just text the clerk or the CEO and they will let me know. Now, first up here, we have the San Joaquin Hills consent calendar items number 1 through 3, 5 through 8, 10, and 12 through 13. Would any directors like to pull or discuss any of the items? And if so, please raise your hand. Seeing no hands, then I will entertain a motion for the San Joaquin Hills consent calendar.
This is Cynthia. I'll move the consent calendar.
There's a motion by Director Connors
Director Bartlett, second.
and a second by Director Bartlett. Now I will ask the clerk to do the San Joaquin Hills roll call vote.
Chair Kelly,
Yes.
Vice Chair Will O'Neill,
Yes.
Director Bartlett,
Yes.
Director Connors,
Yes,
Director Heft,
Yes.
Director Hurt,
Yes.
Director James,
Aye.
Director Khan,
Yes.
Director Minigar,
Aye.
Director Penaloza,
Sorry, I
Direct-
couldn't hear you. Aye.
Director Reynolds,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Director Vic Sorick,
Aye.
Director Wagner.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the item passes unanimously.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We now come to the Foothill Eastern consent calendar items, which are numbers 1 and 2, 4 through 9, 11 through 13. Would any directors like to pull or discuss any of these items? Please raise your hand if so. Seeing no hands, I will entertain a motion for
Director
approval.
Chafee moves.
A motion by Director Chafee. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's have our second and then let's see.
This is Director Wagner seconding, but I did raise my hand.
Okay, sorry, we did not see that.
Not a
here.
problem.
All
No,
right.
no problem.
We have a
Um,
motion and a second. Go ahead, Director Wagner.
Yeah, just briefly, I don't need to pull item 11, but that is an important item for my district, runs through my district. That's the 91-241 project. And if I could just ask staff, if I could hear from you guys like every other month with an update on where we are, I do want to keep an eye on it. So I want to make that request. Otherwise, I don't need to pull the item and have a separate vote on it.
Thank you, Director Wagner. Your concerns and your request is noted. And so we do have a motion and a second, and I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the Foothill Eastern Board of Directors.
Chair Wong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller,
Aye.
Director Bartlett,
Yes.
Director Beal,
Aye.
Director Chafee,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Khan,
Yes.
Director Lombard,
Aye.
Director Murphy,
Aye.
Director Trevor O'Neill,
Aye.
Director Penaloza,
Aye.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Director Voits, Director Wagner, Director Ward,
Aye.
looping back, Director Voits. You may be on mute. Director Wagner.
Aye.
Madam Chair, noting the absence of Director Voits, the item passes unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We now come to board business, items 14 through 16. The next two items, number 14 and 15, pertain to the adoption of our annual budgets. Staff will do a single presentation followed by individual agency votes. Today's action is about providing staff the resources and tools needed for operations, our priorities, and to support our customers. This is one of the board's most important responsibilities. The budgets for both agencies accomplish this, and they have been through a rigorous review process, beginning with a detailed review of functional areas by the various committees in March and April. The entire budget was then presented in two budget workshops during the month of May, with staff addressing the minor changes we had directed them to make. So what we have now before us are very solid budgets that have been very carefully vetted by this board over the past 3 months. They reflect good business decisions and carry forward the agency's history of fiscally responsible management. Before I ask our CFO, Ms. Potter, to make a brief presentation, I do want to ask the other members of the board leadership if they have any comments to share, but I do plan to go ahead and move staff's recommendation for both agencies. Let me go first to Chair Wong, and then I'll go to our two vice chairs. Chair Wong?
Thank you, Chair Kelly, and I do wholeheartedly agree with your comments and want to thank staff for their diligence and all the board members for their work in developing the budgets, and really appreciate all your inputs into this budget for this year. The budgets were well planned and reflect our agency's board approved policies and commitment to cost containment. Although the budgets are adopted on an annual basis, it is important to consider the agency's long-term financial stability and goals by continuing back onto the steady course we were following. As Chair Kelly noted, the budget also advances our priorities for our capital program, mainly the 24191 connector, which I am excited to see that it's making progress and ultimately will provide the travel time benefits for both 241 and 91 users that the project will address. With that, I will second the motion for Foothill.
And I'm sorry, I said that I plan to move the items.
I apologize.
I'm sorry, I do move the items
Oh, okay.
for both agencies.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
And I will
we have a
second.
motion and a second
Yes.
for Foothill. And now I would like to go to Vice Chair O'Neill for his comments.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I will echo those comments and also say that when we passed the debt management policy a year or two ago, and we were creating it, in primary part, it was the goal is to make sure that we are putting the vast majority of our payments down toward debt management and debt reduction. As Samuel Johnson mentioned, we have reduced our debt load by hundreds of millions of dollars across both boards. We need to continue to do so. We need to be remaining focused on paying down that debt. We need to ensure that we're staying on the path that we told our bondholders that we would follow. We need to make sure we're not avoiding bigger issues down the line. In addition to the debt management policy, it ties right in with our toll rate policy, which was adopted with our board's consent, with the intent of which, of course, is to adhere to both of those. And I encourage us to continue to do so today. And then lastly, I just, as mentioned before, these budgets have been through a very rigorous review process over the last few months. And I do believe they reflect the agency's fiduciary responsibilities. So I do support the budgets as presented, and I will second on behalf of San Joaquin. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair O'Neill. We do have a motion. I have moved this for San Joaquin, and we have a second on that by Vice Chair O'Neill. Now I'd like to continue and go to Vice Chair Miller for any additional comments he may have.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, we've had a long, robust discussion about this budget through multiple committee meetings. And it's no secret that I had some deep concerns about this. However, after working with staff and addressing those concerns, I am confident that this is a good budget and I am going to support it. I want to echo Chair Wong's comments. The 24191 in the capital is a big project. Our capital projects budget is going to be very beneficial to Orange County, specifically South Orange County, with the South County mobility study and the 3 projects down here. So I want to thank staff for all their hard work on this. Again, there's certain things that did raise some concerns. I think we're going to be okay on those as we move forward. But again, we'll address those as they come up later in the year. So I think with the financial plan that has been put forward by Ms. Potter, we're in a strong financial position to take a look at not just making our debt payments that are required annually, but to start thinking about paying off some additional debt in terms of bond calls that are coming up next year in the tune of about 125 million that I've been speaking about for the last couple of years, and that I believe that the board, or previous board anyway, had given direction that we want to pay those off. I also want to thank our Budget Finance Committee Chair and Vice Chair, that's Director Beal and Directors O'Neill, Vice Chair O'Neill. When I was chair of that committee, I started speaking about we needed more financial policies put in place, and Director Beal and O'Neill have actually taken that by the horns and have done a great job in implementing those policies. So with that, those are the remainder of my comments, and I will support this budget. Thank you.
Thank you. We will have Ms. Potter give a brief presentation. If any directors have any questions, I'll ask you to use the raised hand. I do see Director Wagner's hand. Would you Director Wagner, are you comfortable waiting until after the presentation to make your comments or questions, or did you?
Absolutely. I can wait.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll call on you first. And I will now ask Ms. Potter to give her brief presentation.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, chairs and vice chairs, for your comments. And as mentioned in your comments, we have presented this budget through numerous workshops and committees. And so today my presentation is very brief. Next slide. And so before you today, these expenditures, as shown on this slide, are included in the budget. For the Foothill Eastern, 141.3 million, and for the San Joaquin Hills, 139.3 million. And as you can see, the largest portion of our budget expenditures relates to our debt service. Next slide. And included in those budget resolutions that are before you today for approval is to approve those expenditures that we just looked at. And so before you here, you see the San Joaquin Hills summary of their budget resolution. Also to approve the proposed staffing plan, adopt the toll rates and fees, and then authorize the CEO to reallocate the budget within the categories as shown on the slide, and also to direct staff to submit the budget to the trustee. Next slide. And here you see the summary of the Foothill Eastern budget resolution, the budget totaling 141.3 million with all those same items, and to reallocate within the categories as shown. The Foothill Eastern has two additional categories, which is simply splitting out the capital plan into additional categories. Next slide. And with that, this is the summary of the board recommendation that has been moved for approval. The San Joaquin Hills and the Foothill Eastern, very similar, to approve the budget resolution before you, entitled a resolution of the Board of Directors of each agency, with approving the budget for fiscal year 22 in those amounts that I just covered. And that concludes my presentation.
We do have motions and seconds on behalf of both boards, and we will now have any discussion or questions. I see the hand of Director Wagner. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate the hard work of staff. I recognize this is this is a very sound budget. I nevertheless have a significant philosophical opposition to an important part of it, and for that reason, will be voting against it. I've had a chance to vet this, but I want to say for the public, I find the toll increase is indefensible. It is on the theory that we're going to take small bites from our constituents every year so that at some point later we don't have to take bigger bites. That's essentially how you boil a frog, and you turn the heat up slowly. Our taxpayers aren't frogs to be boiled. I think it's a really bad fiscal model for government. We're taking money we admit we don't need now so that we will not have to take so much later when we do need it. But if we do need it later, then it's up to us as elected officials to make that case to our constituents rather than kind of disguise it in small grabs in prior years. If we can't justify it later when we need it, we shouldn't be taking it now. That's just, as I say, a bad fiscal model for a government. It's important to keep the money in the taxpayers' pockets, in the users' pockets, rather than ours until we need it. They know better how to use their money. They get the interest on that money in their bank account as opposed to us. I just think that fundamental problem with the increased tolls pollutes this entire budget. I'd urge that to be reconsidered, the budget to be redone. It can be done by staff, and then I can support it. Right now, I just can't. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Director Wagner. We'll go now to Director Connors.
Thanks. I support the toll rate increase. we adopted a policy more than a year ago, several years ago, to have a regular 2% increase in our tolls each year to keep track of inflation. Although Director Wagner says that we can wait until we really need it and then we can justify it, the fact is that when you make a large jump in your fees, people are going to be irritated no matter how much you justify it. So I don't think there's any way to justify a large increase that you waited a long time for to your ratepayers. That's part one. Part two is here at 2%, this is pennies per trip. And I, like most of the toll road users, only ride on the toll roads once or twice a week. And I don't, I think that, adds up to maybe $20 a year. And I think our users can probably afford that. The third thing is that our bondholders appreciate that we have this policy to keep ourselves financially solvent, to be orderly in how we administer our rate increases. And I think it's a good idea to have the policy, and I think it's a good idea to follow the policy. So I'm in favor of that rate increase. Thanks.
Thank you, Director Connors. We'll next go to Director Murphy.
Good morning. I won't belabor the point, but I echo the sentiments of Supervisor Wagner in the concerns. One suggestion to the chairs, if they would consider it, as I do support the budget as it's calculated with the exception of the increase in revenue. And I believe during the discussions, it was indicated that we had funds available to fund the budget regardless without any additional changes or any additional maneuvers. You could bifurcate the vote and ask the rate increase question as a separate question, then I would be able to support the budget. But I too can't support the 2% increase this year. The argument that it's pennies, quite candidly, that's an argument why we shouldn't do it. We're coming out of a pandemic, but business-wise, we are certainly not healed, and local finance is certainly not healed. And I think for one additional year, given the extraordinary circumstances, we should continue the practice that we instated last year and then bring it back. And I have no problem making those statements as well. But for me, either a bifurcated vote to indicate the one concern I do have, or otherwise I will unfortunately be recording a no vote on this as well. But I don't want that misinterpreted that from a budget standpoint, preparation standpoint, and the rest of the practice all have been done judiciously and correctly. I just have a philosophical question on that individual rate increase. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Was that a motion? This is Director Voights from Lake Forest. I'll second that motion if that was a motion.
Director Voights, we already have motions on the record, and the chair has not called for the vote yet.
Yes, let's.
My question was that a substitute motion by Director Mill?
No, I don't think it was. I think
it was a polite request to the chairs to consider altering their motions, Director Voights, but I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. And I'm not of a mind to alter my motion. I will ask our legal counsel to weigh in, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Essentially, what is being proposed would be under Robert's rules, a division of a question, a bifurcation of the motion. And what Robert's rules says is that that kind of a motion is proper only where the two parts are completely divisible and either could stand on their own without change, without amendment. The challenge we have with the budget is if there were a vote not to vote for the toll increase, you would have to then change the wording of the remaining vote for the budget. So a division of the question in this particular instance is not an appropriate vehicle. That's not to say that a substitute or amended motion couldn't be made, but not to divide the vote, not to bifurcate it. In our view, that would not be proper.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Joseph. All right, I know we do have some additional hands, and I have a note that one or two directors were not able to raise their hand, but let me go through the hands that are visible, and then we'll go to those that are having trouble raising. Next is Supervisor Bartlett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So a number of years ago, this kind of predates some of the supervisors that are some of the directors that are on the board right now, where we didn't need to have an increase. And so we actually decided to forego the increase for a couple of years. And then we needed to implement an increase. And Director Connors is right. When we had to implement an increase, and it was 25 to 50 cents, I believe, in increase. And we had a deluge of complaints, and they're like, why can't you just do it incrementally? Don't go with a couple of years without increases and then zap us with a 50-cent increase. So I think for a whole host of reasons, and I know that on with a number of agencies, whether it's OCFA or OCTA or some of the other entities where there are fees that are charged for permits and other things, there's a CPI increase that is normally in effect that just goes in and kicks in each year. However, a board can always override in a particular year and not have and waive that particular increase. But it's sort of an automatic to keep up with inflation and to make sure that we don't go a number of years without any increase. And then we kind of hit everybody with a big increase. So I understand both sides of the equation. I know that our bondholders and they come secondary to our ridership. But when you take a look at our ridership right now that are paying tolls, month over month, we have increased ridership. Amy goes through the numbers of the increases, the percentages from 45%, 55%, 65%, 75%, 80%. We're almost back up to normal ridership again. So the folks that are taking the toll roads, even though there's still reduced traffic on the freeways, they're still making that conscious decision that it's great value and time savings for them to take the toll road and to pay the fee. So it's a matter of elasticity and a couple of other things. But I think our strong ridership proves that we have a good program in place. And I think a prudent program with scheduled potential increases that can be waived from year to year might be the best methodology for satisfying all parties. So we don't go a couple of years with and then have a big increase. Our bondholders know that we have a consistent policy in place, and that represents good leadership and planning, prudent planning. So those are the things that, I just wanted to emphasize right now. And like I said, some of the directors weren't here when we had to have that big increase a number of years ago. And we certainly don't want to revisit that in the future. It was very painful for the board, and it was a real lesson learned for all of us about prudent planning and having a consistent policy in place that people can plan for. Thank you.
Thank you for those very good reminders, Supervisor Bartlett, and for your comments. I will now go to Director Trevor O'Neill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can understand the position of those who are opposed to a tolling increase. It is a philosophical issue, but for me, the difference here is that the toll is not a tax. It's not compulsory. It's not a fee that someone is required to pay. It's essentially voluntary, and someone still has the choice as to whether or not to travel on the toll lane at a cost or to not pay that cost. So I think of it in the sense of budgeting, and I think back to my business, and we had to deal with over the last several years the minimum wage ratcheting up, and every year another dollar and adding on to the cost that is ultimately then passed on to customers. And I made the decision it wasn't prudent to just wait it out as long as I can and then get to the point where a larger cost increase would have been necessary to catch up, but rather to implement it in a more slow, gradual approach, which made it easier for my customers to deal with. And I think there's a lot of parallels to that sort of implementation philosophy. And at the end of the day, increased tolls, that ultimately means more capital that we have on hand to bring future projects online quicker that can help alleviate traffic for everyone, including those who choose not to utilize the toll roads. So I support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Director O'Neill. Very good points. Thank you. I believe that Director or Vice Chair Miller would like to speak and was not able to raise his hand.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Now, I was actually just sent a message to Chair Wong to let you know that that could be a problem on other issues. I didn't really have a question, except after hearing these comments, this is one of the issues I spoke about in my opening statement that caused me some concern, and I worked with staff to kind of get myself over it. But one of the things I keep hearing is when we need the additional money, what does that even mean? And what is the dollar amount that would trigger that? We talked about it. We didn't raise our tolls for a few years, and then we needed a larger increase in the tolls. What triggered the need for that increase, and what would be the trigger for the next large increase?
Madam Chair, would you like me to respond?
Yes, please.
Yes, and so I think this is a matter of staying on track with our long-term forecast that does support all of the expenditures and our bond payments. And what happens is if we skip a year, that amount actually compounds over time. And so based on the assumptions for growth in transactions and of course the 2% toll rate increase each year, that number can become quite large. And so there very well could be an instance where we dip below our revenue that's necessary for an annual obligation, and that we would be forced into increasing our rates higher to make up for that. And part of the problem, even if we decide to skip a year now and we go and it's only another year or so, that we then want to make up for the difference. So instead of 2%, say 4% or more to make up for that difference. One of the negative impacts of that, in addition to the things that we've already discussed with the impact on the toll drivers themselves, but the financial impact is that that also can have a negative impact on our transactions, meaning that it diverts traffic off of our system onto other roads, which then from a financial standpoint makes it even harder to get back to the numbers that we need in the long term to meet all of our obligations, because you're working then off of a lower transaction base. So it is very important, even from a financial standpoint, to stay on track with what is planned, because it is very carefully thought out to meet all of those obligations.
You, CFO Potter, Director, Vice Chair Miller, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I wanted to give CFO Potter a chance to respond to that. It's really more of an issue of our long-term plans that we've set in motion to do these projects, and in particular the 241-91 is a big benefactor of these increased toll rates at 2% a year, because now it does put us in a financial position to pay for that project. It sounds like the real risk would be if we fell below like last year. For a matter of fact, our transactions went way down because of COVID. We weren't using it. Fortunately, we were in a financial position to survive it, but our transaction would have dropped below what the requirement was for our bond payments. So I think that's what we're getting to here is when we go through a capital project program like we do, and we identify these projects that we're going to be looking at engaging in the next few years, we're going to need revenue for those, because in all reality, we do not want to issue any additional bonds to pay for those. We would like to do it with the cash on hand. And we also have the issue of trying to pay off some bonds that are coming up, and that puts us in a position to do this. So I understand Director Wagner and his position. I agree with him philosophically 100% that we should have to do this, but I think we're in a position right now that we've already made commitments in our capital projects to do these other projects and programs and trying to pay off some debt, this is going to allow us to do that. And actually paying off the debt faster reduces our obligations into the future. And at some point into the future, maybe we don't have to do this because we're in a position that we have the cash on hand to make those payments. So that is why, by working with staff and CFO Potter made it very clear to me why I'm okay with supporting that toll increase. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Miller. And I believe that Director Voights was having trouble raising his hand, but I did hear him speak up earlier. Did you still have a comment, Director Voights?
That was my, I was going to take that as a substitute motion by Director Mueller from Orange. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Director Voights. I believe we have heard from all directors. And we now will go to our vote. We have a motion on behalf of San Joaquin Hills. That motion was made by me and seconded by Vice Chair Will O'Neill. So we have a motion and a second on the recommended action for item number 14 for San Joaquin Hills. Madam Clerk, will you call that roll, please?
Chair Kelly,
Yes.
Vice Chair Will O'Neill,
Yes.
Director Bartlett,
Yes.
Director Connors,
Yes.
Director Heft,
Yes.
Director Hurt,
Yes.
Director James,
This is alternate ward. I'm going to be voting for Director James, and we are abstaining.
Director Khan,
Yes.
Director Minigar,
Aye.
Director Penaloza,
Yes.
Director Reynolds,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Director Vic Sorick,
Aye.
Director Wagner.
No.
Madam Chair, noting the abstention of alternate ward, and the item passes 12-1.
Thank,
We need to correct that. We have an abstention and a no
Um,
for the budget.
okay, we had a no and we had an abstention as well.
Did you register Director Voights from Lake Forest?
You're on the next board. This is for San Joaquin Hills. Do we have that? Madam Clerk, will you please announce that vote again?
Yes, it was 12-1 and it passes with the abstention of alternate ward.
Okay, thank you very much. And we now move to item number 15, which is the Foothill Eastern, same annual budget. And as a reminder, I moved this item and it was seconded by Chair Wong. And I will now ask the clerk to please call the roll on the Foothill Eastern vote.
Chair Wong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller,
Aye.
Director Bartlett,
Yes.
Director Beal,
Aye.
Director Chafee, Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Kong, Director Lombard,
Yes.
Director Murphy,
I'm unfortunately a no for the reasons stated during the discussion.
Director Trevor O'Neill,
Aye.
Director Penaloza,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Director Voights,
Yes.
Director Wagner,
No.
Director Ward,
Abstain.
looping back, Director Chafee. You may be
Sorry.
unmuted.
All right, muted. Aye.
Director Khan,
Yes.
Madam Chair, noting the abstention of Director Ward, the item passes 12-2.
Thank you very much. So that item has passed. Our budgets for both boards have passed. Thank you, directors, for all of your work and input, and thank you, staff. I think this was an excellent budget, and I'm very pleased with the work result that we have. We now come to item number 16, which is the fiscal year 2022 capital improvement plan. This is our last item for today. It's the adoption of the annual update for our capital improvement plan. As you know, the plan lays out our planned investments for improvements to our system in alignment with the transportation needs of the region. This does require us to be forward-looking, especially considering that the start to finish timeline for some of our projects does take several years. Adopting our roadmap gives staff direction on what they need to be working on and planning for. So I'm going to ask Mr. Dave Spears to please provide our presentation. And then again, if any directors have any questions, use your raised hand feature and we will call on you at the conclusion of the presentation. Mr. Spears?
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Kelly and directors. Dave Spears, Chief Engineer of the agencies. The item before you is the fiscal year 22 capital improvement plan. I will note that this item was presented at the April 28th Joint Capital Committee, and the committee recommended approval of this item to the Board of Directors. Next slide, please. The capital improvement plan represents the current vision and the anticipated timing for our capital projects. The CIP is updated annually and brought before the boards for review and approval. The plan identifies the capital projects and other system improvements being studied and implemented and outlines each project's status, cost, and schedules. During 2020, we completed a draft system traffic study, and the data from this study helps us inform the timing of planned projects. Next slide, please. This year's plan has been organized into 5 categories as listed here. Number 1, completed projects. Number 2, substantially complete capital projects. And number 3, current projects with the 2025 completion, proposed projects with the 2030 completion timeframe, and conceptual capital projects which would be completed 2035 or later. Next slide. This graphic identifies the 15 projects that have been completed since the original construction of the toll roads. These projects represent the significant investment by the agencies over the last 25 years. Since the initial builds, we've completed mainline widenings on 241, the 73, and the 133. We've also completed interchanges on the 241 at Oso Parkway and on the 73 at Glenwood Drive. Next slide, please. This slide represents a new category to show that we have 2 substantially completed projects, both of which have some items that carry over into fiscal year 22. First project is the Oso Bridge. While the bridge is open to traffic, we are still working to close a few remaining punch list items, and this process will extend into the next fiscal year. The second project shown is the signage enhancements project. We've completed 99% of the signs, and as noted during committee, there is 1 sign on the 73 that cannot be finalized until after the bird nesting season. It's a large 2-post overhead sign, and we're planning to install that in September. Next slide, please. This table shows the expenditures from prior years and the FY22 budget for the 2 substantially completed projects. The first row is Oso Bridge project. You'll see the total project value on the right side at 36.6 million. The second row is the signage enhancements project. You can see the totals and the FY22 budgets to wrap up remaining items. Next slide, please. This slide shows the 2 capital projects that we plan to complete by 2025. The 241-91 Express Connector is currently in the final design phase, and that design work will be substantially completed during FY22. The second project is the 241 Northbound Channelizer project that we expect to go to construction in September of this year. This project is an interim step to address the queue jumping concerns on the 241 as it approaches the 91. Next slide, please. This table shows the prior and proposed expenditures for these two projects that in the 2025 completion range. The total value for the Express Connector project is 250 million, shown on the first line. And the total value for the Channelizer project is 0.8 million, shown on the second row. Next slide, please. This slide shows two projects that we are planning for completion in the 2030 timeframe. The SR 241 Loma segment project consists of widening a 6-mile segment of 241 from the 133 to the 261. We've already completed the environmental phase for this project, and it's ready for the final design phase. The Catalina View project on SR 73 is needed to address traffic congestion at the mainline toll point on 73. I'll note that pre-pandemic, there was recurring daily congestion at this location, and we anticipate the peak hour congestion to return as we see continued recovery of traffic volumes. The Catalina View project has not yet started the environmental phase, and the work planned for FY22 includes starting this environmental phase that can take 2 to 3 years for completion. Following environmental, the project would be advanced into design and construction phases, subject to direction by the board. Next slide, please. This table shows the prior and planned expenditures for the two capital projects in this 2030 timeframe. The first row is Catalina View, and you'll see the total project value on the far right column at 36.9 million. The second project, the Loma segment widening on 241, with a total project value of 77.4 million. Next slide, please. This slide shows future capital projects that we anticipate to be completed in year 2035 or later. We've called this category conceptual capital projects to reflect the fact that precise timing and precise definition of the projects are not fully defined at this time. This category consists of on-system improvements, generally median widenings and interchange improvements. Next slide, please. This table shows the prior and proposed expenditures for projects in this conceptual 2035 category. The timing for future on-system improvements in this category will be based upon when they are warranted by traffic. Next slide, please. As noted at the April 28th meeting, the Joint Capital Committee recommended approval of this item to the boards, and the recommendations by the committee are as follows. Adopt the FY22 capital improvement plan for the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agency, and adopt the FY22 capital improvement plan for the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Spears. That was a good report. And again, it reflects a lot of hard work over the last months. Directors, are there any questions at this time? Supervisor Bartlett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So thank you very much for the presentation by staff. And I think you've hit all the right projects and priorities. And I'm glad to see that the Catalina View project is moving forward, because when you take a look at the ridership increase and we get up to that full capacity level again, we've got that pinch point where it pinches down from 4 to 3 lanes. And a lot of the ridership on the 73 toll road are consistent riders who utilize it for to and from work or soccer games or other things, and they use it on a regular basis. So when they're paying more than $10 one way on the toll and they're stuck at that pinch point, that's probably the most common area where we get complaints into our board office about the toll roads and the congestion. So having this item fixed, it's worth the $37 million investment, especially with that consistent ridership who travel the toll road end to end on a consistent basis. So I'm just really glad to see that project was put up in priority or moved up in priority and is moving forward. But all of the other projects that are slated are great in the right timeline, and happy to see a lot of the regional mobility issues getting solved through future projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Bartlett, and thanks for consistently raising that concern and that issue so that we have been able to address it. I do not see any additional hands at this time.
Madam Chair, this is Director Miller. I'm sorry. Like I said, for some reason, my raised hand feature is not showing up on my screen anywhere.
Okay, go ahead, Director Miller.
Just a quick question for the Foothill Eastern Day. You talked about the Loma widening. Can you tell me the time frame on that one again?
We put it, it's in the 2030 category, which means that we would anticipate completing that project by 2030.
Do we have any money in the budget for it this year?
There's nothing planned on that project for the current fiscal year.
Okay, great. That's all I need. Thanks.
Thank you. At this point, I will entertain a motion on behalf of the San Joaquin Hills Board.
Director Bartlett, I'll make a motion on behalf of both boards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second on behalf of San Joaquin Hills? I will second. I will second that. And now, Madam Clerk, will you please do a roll call vote of the San Joaquin Hills Board?
Chair Kelly,
Yes.
Vice Chair Will O'Neill,
Yes.
Director Bartlett,
Yes.
Director Connors, Director
Yes.
Heft, Director Heft,
Yes.
Director Hurt,
Yes.
Director James, Alternate Ward,
Abstain.
Director Khan,
Yes.
Director Minigar, Director Penaloza,
Yes.
Director Reynolds,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Director Vic Sorick,
Aye.
Director Wagner,
Aye.
looping back, Director Minigar.
Aye.
Madam Chair, noting the abstention of alternate ward, the item passes unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now, we do have a motion on behalf of Foothill Eastern by Supervisor Bartlett. Is there a second?
From Lake Forest, Scott Voigt will second.
Director Voits makes the second, and Madam Clerk, please call that roll.
Chair Wong,
Yes.
Vice Chair Miller,
Aye.
Director Bartlett,
Yes.
Director Beal,
Aye.
Director Chafee,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Khan, Director Lombard,
Yes.
Director Murphy,
Yes.
Director Trevor O'Neill,
Aye.
Director Penaloza,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Director Voits,
Yes.
Director Wagner,
Aye.
Director Ward,
Abstain.
looping back, Director Khan,
Yes.
Madam Chair, noting the abstention of Director Ward, the item passes unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That does conclude our business of the day. And Madam Clerk, are there any additional public comments to be read at this time?
Madam Chair, no further public comments to be read.
Thank you. We now come to the CEO's report. Mr. Johnson, do you need a moment?
Yes, I do, Madam Clerk. Madam Chair, I do appear to be missing one of my documents here. There is some important information I would like to share with the board so that you are aware of our upcoming pending release of our year in review document. This will be a reflective document on our accomplishments over the last year, which are notable considering the challenges we went through with the pandemic. So our executive team and our communications team have worked to put together this executive summary document that we'll be releasing in the next 2 weeks. And thank you all the directors who have attributed additional quotes to that document. I think it's a great document and it reflects the continued success of the agency.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing that. I'm sure it will be something that we can all be proud of. Thank you, Mr. CEO. Anything else from you at this time?
No, Madam Chair, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We now come to directors' reports and new business. I do not see any hands. I will just say that I must again compliment our staff on the great work. CFO Potter, CEO Johnson, and the staff on the budget, which was quite a challenging document, but it was so thoroughly presented and vetted on many different levels, and the end product is very good. So my compliments to the staff on that. And also compliments to Dave Spear and his staff for the 2022 CIP and the plans that were presented. These were two very important business areas today that we were able to address and successfully promote and move forward. So I do thank all the staff and the directors for your work, your diligence over the last many months in getting us to where we are today.
Ditto to your remarks.
Chair Wong. Yes, Chair Wong just said ditto, so thank you. All right, then we do now come to adjournment, and I adjourn the meeting to the next regularly scheduled meeting of the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Agency Board of Directors and the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency Board of Directors, which will be held on July 8th, 2021 at 9:30 a.m. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.